are all saying that we are the first ones to ever climb up this mountain, to ever really just come and talk to them about their needs. They have not ever had anyone to ever visit them or ask them what they needed. And so they're very grateful.
So from the outset this year, we knew that one of the things that we really wanted to do is to empower our young people and turn their eyes outwardly to not only what God's doing here in Humble, Texas, or the reality of God for us, but to kind of empower a generation of young people to see God's work in the nations. Somehow Guatemala came across our path. I've been to Guatemala 3 different times. I went once with my wife, and I really didn't consider it as one of the options, but for whatever reason, Kyle and I had kind of connected, and we said, what do you think about maybe Guatemala? And immediately when we locked eyes, we knew this was the place.
Kyle and Pastor Court approached me about joining them and going to Guatemala with them, and of course, being that I had been a missionary there since 2007, I didn't even think twice about it. I definitely wanted to help them in any way that I could.
So we're hanging out in Houston Intercontinental Airport. Kyle and I are playing around with our camera that we just got in order to shoot this documentary, this film that we have really no idea why we're going, other than we felt like it was what God was leading us to do. And so we hop on a plane and we begin to fly for 3 hours into Guatemala City. And then an interesting part of our trip is that immediately after that, we are then transported to a smaller airstrip where Kyle and I are asked to jump on a scale to ensure that our weight does not exceed the capacity for a 5-seater plane that we have to fly over the mountains in order to kind of circumvent a 6-hour bus ride. So anyway, it was interesting, me being able to fly on in a plane like that as the co-pilot and get over the mountains, and we land on just a little dirt airstrip, and we begin to meet the family. Little did we know that 30 minutes later, God was really going to show us why we came to Guatemala in the first place.
So faithful, so constant, so loving and so true, so powerful in all you do. You fill me, you see me, you know my every move, and you love for me to sing to you.
For me, it was one thing to plan a trip, to have an idea to go to another country and help people out that need help, but it was something completely different to see it on the ground, to see it face to face. I had the one turning moment for me was whenever I was walking up the mountain, and I see 2 little girls walking down the mountain, and they are just so joyful, and they're skipping down the mountain to a little stream to get something to drink or maybe to bathe, and they don't have any shoes on.
I realized while seeing this little girl that stood right before us that she no longer was on a TV or someone that we had heard about, but she was an actual real human being, a little girl standing right before us, someone that we could touch. And everything changed for us, for we knew that these are real lives and they have real stories and there are real needs to be met here.
It just came to reality that, to me, that we live in a broken world. I started thinking about if this was my daughter, would I want her to be walking down alone with her little friend, probably around 4 or 5 years old, without shoes, with broken glass and rocks, and would I want that for myself? And I just felt like at that moment the Lord revealed to me, just immediately opens my eyes, and He says, well, that's my daughter, and I'm her father.
We all have an identity, or we want to be identified by something or someone. Families. It just amazes me that these people really identify themselves as the forgotten people.
On the second day that we're there, we climb a mountain that takes a few hours. I don't even remember exactly how long. And we meet a blind woman named Francisca.
Dígame su nombre.
Francisca Tovar.
Francisca's her name. And she's blind.
I'll tell her I said hello.
Mire, Pastor Cor, mire, va a saludarle. Sí, él
Dios le bendiga, hermano. Dios le bendiga.
Hola, God bless you.
Bien, con la gracia de Dios.
I'm very
Aquí
well
estoy.
with the grace of
Qué
God. I'm
bien
not
que ya nos
here,
visitaron,
and I'm so glad
hermano.
that you're here visiting.
Bienvenidos a
You are
este
so
lugar,
welcome here in
hermanos.
this place, my brothers.
Dios los ha traído porque
God
aquí
has
hay una
brought
gran
you. God
necesidad,
has brought you
hermano.
because there's so much need here.
Sí, yo como no miro,
And because I
viera,
can't see, I'm
y me
blind.
cuesta salir
And so it's kind of costly for me to be able to go out.
a los cultos lejos.
And I
y
can't go to services
ahora
far.
anhelamos que ojalá, por gracia
So now
de
our
Dios,
desires
Dios
and the
nos
grace of
trajera a
God,
ayudarnos para
y'all have got
poder
here to
levantar
help
un
us to
templo
be
en
able to
este
put a
lugar,
church here
porque
in this
hay una
place.
gran necesidad de
There's a
glorificar el
great
nombre del
necessity
Señor en este
because we
lugar.
want to exalt and glorify the name
Como
of
yo me
Jesus
hace
right
falta la
here.
vista.
Because
It
I
was just
can't
amazing to
see.
me that this woman, although her and all of her family has so many physical needs, so many things that they could ask for from us, the one thing that she was so adamantly focused on was having a church that she could worship Jesus in.
I can probably list 100 things that they need, but they were so specific in naming 2 of their main needs and their desires, and that was church and schools. And it really just impacted me that they were able to just say those 2 things that were so important to them, yet they had all these needs, but they wanted a church. We have been crying out to God, crying out to Him to help
Hoy
us.
tengamos la respuesta
But now
de
today
Dios
we have the
a través
answer
de
of God.
nuestras
We are hoping that
oraciones.
today we have the answer of
Bienvenidos,
God.
hermanos,
So
a este
thank you,
lugar.
and you are welcome in this place.
Esperamos que ustedes
For many of these children in the villages, they don't have a school to actually call their own in their villages in the mountains, because not many teachers, if any, will go that far, will make that trek up the mountains to teach the kids. So there's only one of 2 options. A, the children walk for 3 to 4 hours down to the school in the morning and 3 to 4 hours back up. Or B, they just choose to not go to school. Every year we meet together to worship a God who can change our lives. We meet together to believe that we serve a God, and there is a God in the universe that can radically change, and that remembers us, that loves us, that cares individually for each one of us. And when I saw this need, I knew immediately that what God had led us to Guatemala for was to bring this message back to our young people and show that we can make a difference, we can make a change, we can help these people. That although these people in these villages, they feel forgotten by people and they feel forgotten by God, God has not forgotten them, and He will remind them that He has not forgotten them, because we will not forget them as God's people. We're going to rally around this vision, and we're going to raise funds to let them know that there is a God and that He loves them. So here's the deal. We have partnered with Pastor Rene and Pastor Nayo in Guatemala to see these needs met with the awakening here right now. We know that God has pulled us together for this time, for this purpose. In order for us to plant a church or to build a school, it costs $5,000 to build that building. $5,000 is legitimately almost like nothing in comparison with what it costs to build schools here in the States or to build a church here. And the reason that we chose churches and schools is because we want to meet a physical need as well as meeting a spiritual need. We want to plant churches so that these pastors can meet with their congregants, they can meet with their village all together to preach the word, to pray together, to have worship together, for them to be renewed spiritually. But we want to meet a physical need by building schools that these children will not have to walk hours in order to be educated, but that we could build these schools so more teachers will be apt to go into these villages because they'll have solid buildings to meet in. And so by raising this money, we can meet the need for these children and for these people in these villages. And our goal is to raise $25,000 tonight. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's not even the tip of the iceberg. We believe that we're going to raise much more tonight by faith here at The Awakening. We believe that tonight is not about just students in Humble, Texas getting together to sing songs, to hear a message. All of those things are awesome, but we believe that tonight is something so much bigger than that. It's about young people getting together and raising their voice for those who don't feel like they have a voice. Raising their voice for people who feel forgotten. And we believe that tonight, this will be a monument for our city, where young people will rise up and adults and parents are going to come together in one voice to bring a petition before God for people that feel like that they've been forgotten. And we believe that tonight $25,000 is only going to be the tip of the iceberg for us, that we're going to raise above and beyond and more than that in order to see this injustice eradicated.